What is it like to live in Japan as a Muslim?
There are surveillance eyes from governmental side on Muslims.
Is it hard to raise children there? How do you motivate your children to pursue Islam? Is there a hatred towards Islam in Japan, and how do you address that? How do Japanese people in general perceive Islam? Or do they perceive it at all?
Unfortunately, Zionist is quite strong.
If you were to summarize in a sentence, how is the dawah activities in Japan?
If you want the short word, I would say international marriage, food, and art.
What is it like to live in Japan as a Muslim?
Alhamdulillah, I would say comfortable, because Japanese society is a very systematic society. So you can make or get your things done as you plan. Of course, with the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why I would say for life procedures, say you can have a comfortable life in Japan. It's only a little difficult if you take it difficult in terms of securing the halal food, but it's only related to meat. But if you can do with eating fishes and so on, they're all halal without the halal marks. Some people doubt even fish products, they are like gelatin or whatever. But still, this tendency from some Muslims to ask too much is really making the life of Muslims everywhere difficult. Like political point of view, there are surveillance eyes from governmental side on Muslims, but generally speaking, there's no harassment.
You're free, but still, I assume there will be some hardship of having not big enough of a Muslim community. Is that so?
Yeah, that's true. Yes. That's also depending on where you live in Japan, throughout Japan. If you're living in the city side, you could have a little community. If you are living in the countryside, you would have less Muslims.
What are the challenges Muslims in Japan face?
Among the challenges that Muslims are facing in Japan is, of course, the educational challenge for their children, Islamic education. Yes. Identity challenges for the cases of like mine, whose parents are both from Japan. I would say if either of their parents are from outside of Japan or originally Muslim, I think the burden or the challenges will be less, because the tendency of Japanese society to make you become one of them is less.
Is it hard to raise children there? How do you motivate your children to pursue Islam?
That's how I would say it's very challenging. I haven't been doing good enough because of my serving outside a lot more than giving my time to my own family. It's very problematic to me, dilemma that I have.
In the masjid that you are the imam of, have the number of Muslims increased over time, over maybe 20 or 30 years, or decreased?
Yes, it is increasing.
It is increasing, alhamdulillah.
The statistics Waseda University announces from time to time is that the numbers of Muslims throughout Japan in total is 220 or 30 as the whole Muslims in Japan. And among them, 40,000 are Muslims who hold Japanese citizenship. But don't misunderstand that all of those 40,000 so-called Japanese Muslims look like me. There are many Muslims who took Japanese citizenship.
Is there a hatred towards Islam in Japan, and how do you address that?
Well, there are. That's all due to the ignorance of those people. The way we address to them is know properly.
Just don't bother with them?
Yeah, that's the best policy.
But there are some.
There are a few. In every place, there are always two extremists.
In Japan, is there Islamophobia?
Not yet.
Not yet. Oh, okay. Surprised. It's like in non-Muslim majority countries, there are. In fact, in Muslim countries, there are too.
But because it's not really threatening numbers in Japan yet, I fear that when it's becoming a threatening numbers, and if the Muslims would not try to change themselves in terms of learning from others. If Muslims only stay being happy or satisfied being among themselves without trying to learn from others, then there will be conflicts.
How do Japanese people in general perceive Islam? Or do they perceive it at all?
I would say what they have towards Islam or Muslims as an image is either all white or all black. Means either all positive or all negative. Because they don't know anything at all about Islam and Muslims. Their image is blank, just a very limited information. Like, all the forbidden things. They cannot eat pork, or they cannot drink alcohol, or they have 4 wives, or they are those kind of typical.
But they know the existence of Islam still.
Of course, they don't care for it. Because unfortunately, I would say as one of Japanese, there's a tendency in Japanese society, in general, there are normal materialistic society is quite high. So they tend to be satisfied within themselves, with inner circle of their life. They don't care or what's happening in the world. But still, on the other side, there are, mashallah, many good-hearted people. Although they are not being Muslim, but still they do show a lot of sympathies towards our brothers and sisters in Palestine and so on. Or otherwise, because the only source that they have is through the media, and the media is almost a copy of Western media. So eventually they have all the negative images.
Does government acknowledge Islam or just ignores about Islam?
Japanese constitution declares the freedom of faith. There shouldn't be any harassment against having any faith in Japan.
How do you see Islam's future in Japan? What are your hopes and concerns?
It's increasing, and alhamdulillah, there's a potential of growing. The fear of having conflicts in Japanese society is when its numbers grows in large way as threatening numbers to the majority of Japanese people, especially if we Muslims do not work hard enough to promote the real understanding how inclusive Islam is. I hope the more proper, true understanding of Islam will be spread to Japan, and so that many Japanese people who are, as a matter of fact, suffering from being under pressure of people's eyes to be saved. But I think at the same time, we have to work hard in the Muslim world as well, because the more Muslims will increase in Japan, the more people will be looking at the Muslims outside, and they will tell, how about them?
Did Palestine affect people's perspective against Islam in Japan like in other countries?
I think so, alhamdulillah. For many common, ordinary people, it is affecting positively as far as I see. But unfortunately, for those who are under the influence of the governmental norm or the media norm and so on, unfortunately, Zionist norm is quite strong.
Do you see any returns of this positive impact? Like, are people more interested in Islam? Are the numbers of converts growing? Or how do you see that return?
I still haven't, and maybe probably only my personal case, but I myself haven't heard of the cases of Japanese leaders whose the reason of coming closer to Islam was the issue of Palestine or something, which is happening a lot in Western world.
What aspects of Japanese culture do you find align well with Islamic principles?
There are many. Basically, so many traditional Japanese values are quite equal to Islamic values. Like, you should be honest, you should be hardworking, you should be with the principles, you shouldn't be telling lies, you shouldn't be cheating.
Is there any cultures that are specific to Japanese that align with Islam?
Like the path of the samurai, the bushido, is often resembled to the path of futuwa. Night food in Islam, the soldiers, the futuwa.
When you say path, you mean the way they look at life?
Yes. That's the unique point. If you look into Japanese traditional cultures, you would find the beauty in simplicity. That comes along with the thoughts, philosophies of like Zen philosophy, which is based on 0, not 1. So that's the very similar, but very huge difference. In Islam, alhamdulillah, there's also a beauty in simplicity, but this is based on 1, tawheed, 0 and 1. It's a kind of surface and behind of the one coin.
So what kind of community work and dawah activities are being done to spread Islam in Japan?
MashaAllah, Tokyo Jami is one of its pioneers and role model for this case. They're offering many different kind of cultural events, and that really attracts people because Japanese people in general, often the case, if you start speaking from the straight gate about religion, they wouldn't listen to you. But many of them are interested in knowing different cultures. If you go from the gates of cultures, many of them listen to you. So they're doing good work. And other place like Otsuka Masjid in Tokyo, they are pioneer of offering community works for the homeless or needies in Tokyo area, giving them food, for example.
So in general, if you were to summarize in a sentence, how is the dawah activities in Japan?
If you want the short word, I would say international marriage, food, and art.
What does that mean?
International marriage is the biggest cause for any Japanese to come closer to Islam. And food event or the art events are the biggest events that many Japanese people come to attend.
Is it hard to access Islamic texts and resources in Japanese? And is there any efforts to translate them? I know you are in effort to doing something like that, but can you explain, is there any efforts and how are you involved in it?
Efforts are going on, but still not enough yet. On the other side, if you look into the fields other than dawah field, if you look into the field like academic fields, whose majority are non-Muslims among Japanese people, there are many PhDs or the studies going on Islam or on Muslims in deep level. But unfortunately, because what they write is academical way of writing, so it's far from the ordinary people. It's unbalanced. We do still need a lot of efforts to enhance or fill up this field.
So Muslims living in Japan are usually benefiting from maybe the resources that are in other languages?
Incorrect, because generally speaking, not so many of Japanese Muslims or Japanese in common are good at foreign languages. That means they have limited access.
That makes the need bigger.
Yes.
Any last words, Ahmed?
As I often request, please remember us in your prayers, especially praying for the guidance of our parents or our families who are not Muslims yet. As it is common for many of the new reverts or converts, their families are still not Muslims. Please pray for the guidance of our families. Let us renew our gratitude towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we are given the greatest gift of having the faith in Islam. Alhamdulillah.
Ahmed Maina, thank you for coming. Hope to see you again in a later meeting, inshallah.
Thank you, inshallah.